Today, we got to see a world leader who you would normally suggest is a bit of a lefty, coming from a country that, of course, is very progressive, but is absolutely clear when it comes to statues. They are part of our past, good, bad or indifferent, and they will never come down. Here's the French President, Emmanuel Macron.
La République n'effacera aucune trace ni aucun nom de son histoire. Elle n'oubliera aucune de ses œuvres. Elle ne déboulonnera pas de statues. Nous devons plutôt lucidement regarder ensemble toute notre histoire, toutes nos mémoires.
I can't speak French, but I can speak passion, and that is exactly the passion that all of our leaders, state, federal and international, need to have about our histories. Now, our histories, of course, are complicated. We know that, and there's not a person who lives amongst us who doesn't understand the complication of Australian history. But to pretend that it started in 1996, and I'll get to why I think some people who are involved in the statues movement think the world started in 1996, it comes, of course, as yet again more Captain Cook monuments, memorials and statues are being attacked, the most recent ones in Melbourne, where a memorial was defaced today. Another one was also defaced in Sydney today. This will keep going. It'll keep going for a long period of time, and we're going to have to use all the resources we can, from CCTV to physical security guards and the rest, to make sure that these statues stand. My position is always the same. If you think that these statues are the ultimate mark of racism, then we should build more statues, ones that confront and tell the more complicated story of Australia. But to pretend that, again, history started in 1996, when you were oh so woke, is, of course, rubbish. The most violent of the statue attacks that took place on the weekend happened after the Black Lives Matter protest, yes, another one, that took place in Sydney. This is one where, as you can see, there was an attempt to, after that Black Lives Matter protest, to have paint and a whole bunch of other things that were torn all over this particular thing in Sydney. I think we've got some pictures of that. If we don't, I'll move on here. Well, as you can see, that one of the people who police believe is responsible for this, after being found on CCTV, is this woman. This woman is a 28-year-old who is a part-time worker for that bloke, David Shoebridge, who is a member of the Upper House in New South Wales. She and a community worker have both been charged with the defacing of this particular statue. A statue that required this many police to guard it against people who wanted to do what they'd seen on the United States and desperately wanting to repeat. The activism of the US was something that they desperately wanted to do here. Gladys Berejiklian is the New South Wales Premier. She'll join us on the show tomorrow night, and this is what she said.
If you feel strongly about something, please express it in a way that's appropriate. Do not break the law. Nobody will tolerate breaking the law, and nobody should for that matter. And it's disturbing behaviour, but it is just a very small minority of the population. The vast majority of us think it's wrong, we think it's unacceptable, and we think it's un-Australian. This is where you draw the line. When you have a staff member engage in illegal activity, you either condemn it or you don't. He needs to stand up today and say it was wrong. It doesn't matter what hour of the day it happened. This employee thought it was okay to break the law. Now the boss has to say that it's wrong.
But of course, he's not going to do that. This is all that we've heard from David Shoebridge, and it came via a statement that I understand one of the two people charged regarding the incident involving the statue at Hyde Park is a part-time employee with my office. They were not engaged in employment at the time of which the incident occurred, well outside of work hours. I don't even think that's a full sentence. It continues to say they were not engaged in employment, as I say, and because the matter is before the courts, he can't say anything. Now, David Shoebridge is the type of politician who loves calling out people to be accountable for their actions. He's the one who'll speak and vote on all sorts of things in the Upper House of New South Wales, including making sure that there was condemning of Eddie Maguire for things that he said that were offensive on Melbourne radio. So he's more than happy to call out others, but of course when it's his own, it didn't happen during work hours, so